A very weird, and I don't think she has a husband who is in love with her or faithful to her. And I think I can't really blame him because she seems to have accepted this behavior since the inception of their marriage. And so past his prologue, you're gonna get what you tolerate. You know, what you permit, you promote. She spent all of her daughter's upbringing away.
They failed to do so, and Donald Trump was declared the winner. We had major figures on the Democratic side say that he was not legitimately elected. Who were those people? The House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, said he was illegitimate. Hillary Clinton said he was illegitimate. Jimmy Carter said not only was he illegitimate, but he was elected through Russian agency, which was demonstrably proved false by Special Prosecutor Robert Mueller.
She built her career on inevitability, convinced the world owed her the presidency. But history had other plans. The so-called trailblazer became a symbol of overreach, a politician who confused entitlement with destiny. Every comeback attempt only magnified the failure she couldn't shake. When Megyn Kelly and Victor Davis Hanson turned their sights on Hillary Clinton, the unraveling is swift and ruthless, revealing a legacy defined less by breaking ceilings and more by stumbling over her own ambition.
Today than it was even 4 years ago, never mind 8 or 10 years ago when she was doing all this. And back to Hillary, you know, the whole, oh, she has a hat she's tweeted herself out wearing, but her emails. She's tried to turn it into this ridiculous joke, like, oh, but the moon landing, like you nutcases who are still railing about this made-up scandal, this thing that, you know, you've used to try to unfairly tar me. She did need to distract from that email scandal, which was around her neck like an albatross. Trust me.
In 2016, he and Hillary, she was calling him a Russian agent, and he was calling her Crooked Hillary. Everybody thought that given she had destroyed 30,000 emails and the devices upon them, and they were under subpoena, that he would have the DOJ go after. And what did he say? The first thing he said, she suffered enough. People went to him and said, you've got to fire James Comey, the director of the FBI. He tried to sabotage. I'm not going to do that. He never.
If you're enjoying this video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Hillary Clinton has long been treated like political royalty, but royalty only works if people actually want to follow. For decades, she cast herself as inevitable, the one destined to carry the torch. Yet the brighter the spotlight shone, the more the cracks appeared. Megyn Kelly and Victor Davis Hanson pounce on that reality like predators circling a wounded animal. What Clinton built wasn't a dynasty of achievement, it was a monument of ambition propped up by entitlement.
In the White House, running for office, and Chelsea Clinton is not a nice person. And I think really is just sort of getting along based on the family name at this point. And so now she's got a daughter who I guess married a rich guy but is struggling in her own right. Hillary's in a loveless marriage. She probably doesn't have a lot of real friends, just people who are glamours. And so she absolutely does have to write a fifth memoir and go on MSNBC and be told that she's amazing. And
she is the definition of a politician who mistook persistence for success. Running for office wasn't about conviction or vision, it was about claiming what she believed was hers. The irony, she had every advantage: funding, connections, power, networks, name recognition, and still managed to fumble the ball. Megyn Kelly notes that Hillary's true rival was never Obama or Trump. It was her own inability to connect with anyone outside the Beltway bubble. The more she spoke, the more she sounded like a corporate memo drafted by a committee.
Listen to this. I mean, you probably already know this stuff, Glenn, but claimed that Attorney General Loretta Lynch, okay, this is back in 2016, people, remember, Obama's president. Loretta Lynch is his Attorney General. And her DOJ/FBI are investigating the Hillary Clinton email scandal. And also now we learn simultaneously working with the Hillary Clinton campaign to bury that scandal in favor of calling Trump.
Victor Davis Hanson rips into the myth of Hillary's brilliance, showing her career as less a saga of triumph and more a trail of strategic blunders. Her tenure as Secretary of State was framed as experience, but what's the record? The Libya disaster, the infamous reset with Russia, and a string of high-profile meetings that produced little beyond photo ops. Hanson doesn't exaggerate, he simply holds up the receipts. She claimed the mantle of foreign policy expertise. Yet, you've left the world more fractured and dangerous than she found it.
2016 election, the Russian intelligence was tapped by the Dutch, and the Dutch reported back to our intelligence. They're baffled because they haven't colluded with Donald Trump, but they have tapped into Hillary Clinton's communications, and she's saying that they have. And they want to know why this is, and they came to the conclusion that she's lying about the Russians because she was trying to protect her own emails.
Kelly emphasizes that Hillary's greatest weapon, her relentless persistence, was also her undoing. Every attempt to rebrand only seemed to backfire. In 2008, she was hailed as the inevitable first female president, only to be humbled by a then little-known junior senator from Illinois. 8 years later, in 2016, she positioned herself as the seasoned professional, ready to take down an outsider with no political resume, yet that outsider bulldozed through her meticulously built campaign machine with rallies, catchy nicknames, and a raw connection to voters she could never replicate.
Women should be in jail. Literally, Hillary Clinton should be behind bars. And so should the people who worked for her who did this. This is so blatantly corrupt. She wanted to distract from her email scandal. She cooked up a plan to accuse Trump of being a Russian agent in order to distract from her own legitimate scandal. She made...
Hanson cuts deep, portraying Hillary Clinton as the embodiment of modern political cynicism. She spoke of justice while thriving on pay-to-play influence. The Clinton Foundation, awash in foreign donations during her tenure, became less a charity and more a monument to blurred ethics. She built an empire on insider power, all while posing as a champion for everyday Americans. The contrast was striking. While farmers, small business owners, and factory workers struggled, Hillary raked in six-figure Wall Street speeches, all while pretending to relate. Megyn Kelly zeroes in on the contradictions at the core of Clinton's persona. She wanted to appear tough, yet every setback came with a ready excuse: the Russians, misogyny, fake news, the FBI, Bernie Sanders, even the voters themselves. Kelly reminds the audience that true leaders own their failures, while Hillary catalogs hers in glossy memoirs that read less like reflection and more like therapy sessions with a ghostwriter.
Trump to put an end to it on Russian terms. Donald Trump was not the author of the failed reset. Remember the 2009 Geneva debacle where Hillary Clinton pushed that reset button and we were supposed to be friendly with Russia, and basically we said, you should be democratic, you should be democratic. So they were loud but carried a twig rather than spoke softly with a club. And if there is a peace settlement, it will be the work, whether the left likes it or not, of Donald Trump, the one world leader among the three that has nothing to do with this war. It didn't start on his watch, but it may well be his doing to stop it.
What makes it even more damning is how her so-called strength, decades of political experience, became her undoing. Experience didn't make Hillary relatable. It cemented her as part of the swamp Americans wanted drained. Hanson nails it. Her instincts are trapped in the past. She campaigns like it's still the 1990s. As if binders of policy points could outmatch raw energy and charisma. Every move aimed for a headline, yet the headlines always read the same: distant, scripted, unlikable. The roast sharpens when Hanson addresses her legacy. What does Hillary Clinton actually leave behind? Not healthcare reform, not landmark legislation, not a presidency that inspired millions. Her legacy is clear: losing to Obama, losing to Trump, losing the trust of the American people.
What's really kind of scary is that just that sentiment blew up her 2016 campaign with the deplorables and irredeemable. This was kind of an elaboration, but it went further. And you'd think that she would have learned not to say things that destroy her viability as a spokesperson, much less a candidate, and she hasn't. She's doubled down on it. And this comes into context, remember, with the Homeland Security are drafting known liars who lied under oath, James Clapper and John Brennan, to be an advisory group for internal security. And we have a technology now that allows what she's talking about to actually...
She became the cautionary tale of American politics, the candidate who had everything but delivered nothing. Hanson points out that even within her own party, enthusiasm was lukewarm at best. She didn't galvanize Democrats, she fractured them, leaving a residue of resentment that still echoes today. Kelly lands the punchline. Hillary Clinton is obsessed with relevance because irrelevance terrifies her. That's why she keeps appearing in interviews, op-eds, and commentary on democracy, clawing back into the conversation. But the truth is harsh. History has already moved on. She's clinging to a spotlight that no longer wants her. Every public appearance recalls campaigns that should have been triumphs, but ended in humiliation. The destruction isn't mere mockery, it's the dismantling of the illusion that she was ever destined for greatness. Hanson and Kelly strip away the myth to reveal the reality. Hillary Clinton wasn't cheated by fate. She was undone by her own flaws. She mistook entitlement for destiny, branding for charisma, excuses for leadership. And when the dust settles, her place in history isn't as the first female president, but as the most famous political almost.
Denialism. Unique? No. In 2016, in that interregnum between the election and the December certification. Almost nightly, Hollywood actors went on television and they appealed to the electors who were constitutionally bound to reflect the majority vote in their state. They made a direct appeal to be what we call false electors. In other words, they were direct appeals, do not in these key swing states.
Megyn captures it perfectly, noting how Hillary's political instincts are trapped in the past. She campaigns like it's still the 1990s, believing binders of policy points could outshine raw energy and charisma. At every turn, she underestimated opponents, assuming credentials would trump authenticity. Kelly tears apart Hillary's carefully curated image, exposing every so-called spontaneous moment as staged from awkward daytime TV, dances to forced attempts at relatability or landing flat because inauthenticity is easy to detect. Attempts at humor sounded hollow, gestures of vulnerability felt calculated. Every move was engineered for a headline, yet the headlines read the same: distant, scripted, unlikable. Hanson drives the point further with the legacy question. What does Hillary Clinton truly leave behind? Not healthcare reform, not landmark legislation, not a presidency that inspired millions.
About Trump being a Russian asset. And they banked on the intel agencies working with her to perpetuate this lie, and it appears they were only too happy to assist. That's what this scandal's about. Pieces of it we knew. New pieces are coming in by the day thanks to these declassifications. And it's downright shocking. Do not believe that there's no there there. The people who are saying that are wrong. They're wrong.
Instead, her legacy is losing. Losing to Obama, losing to Trump, losing the trust of the American people. She became the cautionary tale of American politics, the candidate who had everything but could deliver nothing. Hanson points out that, even within her own party, enthusiasm was tepid at best. She didn't galvanize Democrats, she divided them, leaving behind resentment that still fractures the party today. Kelly drives home the final punch. Hillary Clinton is obsessed with relevance because irrelevance terrifies her. That's why she still surfaces in interviews, op-eds, and commentary, clawing her way back into a conversation that has already moved on. Hillary Clinton wasn't cheated by fate, she was undone by her own flaws. She mistook entitlement for destiny, branding for charisma, and excuses for leadership. When the dust settles, her place in history isn't as the first female president, but as the most famous political almost